It's time to race at the Rock. That's right. NASCAR returns to Rockingham Speedway this Easter weekend. We get you set for the occasion with our best O'Reilly Auto Part and Craftsman Truck Series picks next, right here on the Backroad.
I don't drive a Monte Carlo, and my truck ain't painted black. It ain't got a big white number 3 turning left around the track.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Backroad, In Between Media's NASCAR betting show. Elliot Hicks and Seth Woolcock here with you. There's no cup racing this week, but still some racing on the track at the historic Rockingham Speedway.
Elliot, looking forward to this one once again, man. You hit some pretty nice bets last week, including that outright. So you're on a bit of a heater. It's a great time to be alive. Just on Sunday, he is risen, man. So it's going to be a great weekend with friends and family. I'm taking a little trip tomorrow. Going to see some big prospects debuting down there in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. And then we got some good racing coming up on Friday and Saturday as well, and hope to continue to build that bankroll as we have been doing just about all spring long.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I appreciate the kind words. I definitely am on a heater, and hopefully it'll continue here in the minor series. We'll look back in the review and talk about the weekend at the Paperclip at Martinsville. In the Horizon Forecast, we'll break down all there is to know about Rockingham, also a little standings update in there too. And then we'll give you our best bets for the race weekend at the Rock in the parking garage props. Again, just O'Reilly and Truck Series, also ARCA, but you can't really bet on ARCA. If you want to get real degenerate here, let's have the book start throwing out some ARCA East odds. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't even think we're quite that degenerate. But oftentimes we joke and say the people that we chat with are degenerates and stuff like that. Sometimes it's used in a good way. Sometimes, mostly it's used in a good way. And it certainly is always used in a good way. Where I'm trying to get to here is to tell everyone about the IBT racing family. That is, that's the place to be on race weekend, chatting during the race, chatting after the race, chatting about this bet, that bet, the other bet, our head-to-head matchups contest. It's been a lot of fun. All cup weeks, you'll get access to our betting model. You'll get our full betting cards each and every week. Mine's already in there for this weekend at the Rock. That's $3.99 a month, $36 for the year. Or you can enter into a giveaway. Still got a couple of spots to give away, but free to join the conversation and enter in a memorabilia giveaways. And we still got a couple of giveaway spots left if you haven't made the jump to the paid tier yet and you're looking to.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have more giveaways coming. Check back in next week. We'll do another giveaway, one to save it for a cup weekend here, Elliot. But we're going to continue to give those away. 2 more spots left up for grabs. So let's continue to, just comment on this video or last week's video, and then I'm going to enter them into one, and we'll kind of just keep going from there. But appreciate everyone hanging out over there. And Elliot, there's a lot of tears shed on Sunday. There's a lot of Denny Hamlin outrights floating around there, and just wasn't meant to be, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and hey, that's the perfect community to share that kind of stuff. Whether it's celebrating me saying, "Hey, I hit this outright," some of the Denny guys not really enjoying that, but hey, that's just how it goes. And it's not just the racing family that you get access to. We also have the IBT football family. We got the NFL draft coming up. Already starting to get into like mini camps, OTAs, stuff like that. The football cycle truly never ends. Entertainment family, always lots of things going on in the entertainment business. Survivor 50 is in full swing, and lots of good stuff to chat about over there. And then golf, we are ramping up to the best time of the year. We got the Masters next weekend, and certainly gets a lot of people involved on the golf side as well.
Yeah, man. Jake, Mike, Keith, they've been doing a great job over there all season long, hitting some dingers. I think Jake's somewhere already 50 units in the green right now. So they're doing the dang thing, and it's just heating up. We had a great Masters early episode over there on the 19th hole come out earlier this week, where they just kind of preview some of the different storylines, some of the different odds, favorites, long shots going into the week, just about 7-8 days removed from the start of that tournament. And then we'll, of course, have a full episode next week, a ton of shorts that we're going to be putting out over the weekend, early into next week as well. So great stuff over there. And hey, man, I love NASCAR racing, but I don't know if there's any NASCAR race individually I can say like I love as much as the Masters. Like that entire weekend is just something special. And usually you get a pretty good race on as well on that Sunday. So it's kind of like you get the best of both worlds, a little Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus 20th year anniversary edition, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And maybe Daytona Speed Week's about the closest thing, but yeah, the Masters certainly a great time for everyone who can bet on that. Best of luck with your bets there. Shout out, we got Chris in the comments at the moment saying hello to us. Appreciate you tuning in, my man. Bovada has ARCA odds. Ask me how I know. I remember we've done the Bovada thing a time or two. I remember, I think, in the car on the way to Dover.
Yes.
There'd be an ARCA race, looking around for odds. I don't think we bet on anybody. I know Connor Zilich won the race that day. I don't know if he was well known enough to the point where we would have bet on him, but
I had a Sawalich outright that day, so I was right.
You did end up putting the bet down. All right, I didn't remember.
Yeah. But hey, I haven't used Bovada since. I still got a couple $100 laying around, I think. So, definitely a good reminder to get back in there. They have ARCA odds. I don't know if they'd have ARCA West or East odds, though. That would be a different question mark.
This might be a little too niche, but that's okay. I want to shout out all the rest of our live viewers on YouTube. Feel free to comment your picks for the weekend.
Absolutely.
And like I said, get those comments flowing. We'll get back to the giveaway next week. You can comment on last week's video for the giveaway to the racing family. You can find all the fun we got going on in the description or at in-betweenmedia.com/chat. Shout out to everyone on Apple Podcasts as well. Leave us a review, whether you like us, whether you don't like us. I totally understand it. We'll try to improve for you. Easiest way to support us, though, Seth, as you always like to say, give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And not just this one, too, but the Backroad sub-channel, _Backroad, bonus episodes, shorts, collaborations with this place. If you want just the racing content, we give you the best of it right over there on the Backroad channel.
Yeah, it's been a really cool venture, kind of, breaking down and niching out these channels a little bit more. We're still, of course, live here on the IBT main channel every single Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, or we'll have a video posted by then. But most weeks, especially during the Cup season, we're ready to go on this channel. But great to have a little bit more additional content coming out over there between the shorts you're doing, some that we're cutting from different shows of interesting talking points. And then just Rod and I got together last week, talked to more about, some Cup risers, followers, some of the biggest disappointments of the season so far, and really how we go about approaching that. And in that video we put out last week, Elliot, I said, look, I know it looks bad for Joey Logano right now. You absolutely hammer him at Martinsville when those odds came out, and they came out, and that was the maybe gainer of the weekend, and maybe also gainer of the season.
Yeah, that was a good play for sure. And that was a good watch too. Go check that out afterward if you haven't already. And that's part of the fun about this week. Normally we would probably just throw O'Reilly and Truck extended discussion over on the sub channel. Cup takes a break. We get the opportunity to do that on the live show. We do want to talk Cup though. Let's take a look back at how everything at Martinsville went in the rear view.
Baby, that's how you do it. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You are the man. No way! We did it! Yeah!
All right, so we had the Cup and O'Reilly series over at Martinsville. On the Cup side, let's be honest, it wasn't necessarily the most exciting race in the world. It wasn't quite Spring 2022 Snooze Fest, thankfully. But this was one of those Denny Hamlin dominant ass kickings for most of the race, like we had last spring when he got his first win in almost a year at that time. He's won plenty since then. And man, we really thought he was heading toward a win. But then some late pit strategy, with arguably the most hated crew chief in the garage, Alan Gustafson, plays a pretty good pit strategy with Chase Elliott that works out for him, and the number 9 car gets the win. Hendricks and Chevrolet's first win of the year. And like you said, gotta feel bad for the Denny bettors and for Denny himself, but this wasn't necessarily even like stolen from Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott had a pretty good car. They played the pit strategy right, got the checkered flag. That just sounds like NASCAR to me.
Hey, I totally understand that, and I'm sure anyone who was on a Chase Elliott outright would think something similar there, Elliot. So good on you for that. And dude, just good on this number 9 team. Not only did they have the the knowledge and say, hey, let's gamble here. We might need to get a caution. You saw them starting to slip back, right? I mean, and that was the one takeaway I had from this race is like, at least there was tire wear, right? Like at least there was some higher tire wear than we've seen at past Martinsville races where there really weren't. And you saw Chase Elliott when he pitted about 28, 29 laps before the entire field. He started sliding back all of a sudden. He was sliding back quickly. He got, kind of bailed out by a little bit of a ghost caution. I got to throw that out there too. Apparently it was a brake rotor. We only saw it on pit road, but
we saw a couple of laps before that. Ty Dillon, his car's on fire. There's smoke coming out of it. I understand maybe it's small pieces coming out of it. Maybe it takes some time to see, but sometimes it's hard to miss this stuff. I mean, Chris Buescher's whole day was ruined because apparently there was still something on the track left over from the O'Reilly race. So I know that we're in the days where the stage cautions kind of replace the phantom debris cautions. I understand, maybe it's a phantom debris caution, but I would rather see that happen than not happen and have more people have days like Chris Buescher's where it was almost totally ruined by something you just didn't see.
Sure. And I'm not going to complain because like Denny did have a shot at it, right? I mean, we got a couple restarts there with, inside 100 to go. And a couple of those, like Chase Elliott just fought him off, right? And, he never got the exact placement I think he wanted on Chase Elliott. I think maybe he was on the outside one of those restarts and then was starting third and fourth most of them. But, I mean, credit Chase, man. He drove up there then and held his lead position. Even when Denny looked like he was gaining on him, Chase continued to, find avenues to get through some of that lap traffic a little bit more precisely. So, I can, bitch and whine and everything's going to be fine at the end of the day. But, like, still to me, Elliott, like, Chase Elliott went out and did what he did to, no longer put yourself in the playoffs, but put yourself back in the winning conversation, get this monkey off the back, not only for HMS, but Chevy as a whole, where, we've been having conversations over the last couple of weeks. And I was the one who started it first. I want to say that now. After 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, are we sure about HMS? Are we sure about Chevy? And everyone said, hey, we'll start the panic after Martinsville. Our guy Brian in the IBT racing family, of course, one of the first to say, hey, we'll panic after Martinsville. The panic button was almost hit, but we got to avoid it for now, my friend.
Yeah, Hendrick car certainly was not the best car during the race, but they end up with their 3 main drivers all finishing in the top 10. And even though, like I said, Denny Hamlin, clearly the best car, everyone will agree with you on that. But I'm saying it's not the same kind of fluke win as an overtime finish where the third best car bails.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's very easy for you to have the opinion you had as a Hamlin outright better, and for me to look more on the bright side because I hit the 9-1 boosted Chase Elliott outright. Of course, I'm going to say the Chase win was better, made me a little bit of money, made me look better too. The Hamlin top 3 I hit as well at a plus 160. Almost nailed all of the Hendrick top 5 ladder. Got the Byron at even money, the Chase Elliott at plus 135.
Those did not look good most of that race.
No, not at all. And Larson couldn't quite get up there. I ended up placing my first Kalshi bets, and I have more of those tonight. One of the Kalshi bets I placed was Kyle Larson not to finish in the top 10. He couldn't get in the top 5, but also couldn't just finish outside the top 10 for me to make me money there. Ty Gibbs, I had the top 10 on as well at plus 110. Ryan Preece, I hit the group bet over Reddick, Chastain, and Kyle Busch.
There you go.
The matchups didn't quite work out for me. I had Preece over Logano, fading the 22. That was a bad idea. He had a great run. But then the Logano bet that I made on race morning to kind of hedge myself was Logano over Chase Elliott. So I couldn't quite thread the needle there. You definitely were right on Logano, and you were able to make money on his top 10 and a few other bets in the Cup race.
Yeah, I needed to ladder that up. I did have the outright on Logano as well, which looking back was a really nice ticket to have, but I should have done top 5 and a top 3 and gone in the full car lift there. Didn't though. I just went 5 units on that top 10 minus 137 from our friends in Pittsburgh. That was a great hit. Also in the Cup Series, Ryan Preece minus 130 against Brad. That was a race day ad for those who are joining us in the IBT Racing family. I told you, Elliot, I said, hey, be patient. I'm going to pick a gainer of a matchup. I was down in the standings. Look who's coming back all of a sudden. And then that SVG top 20, 2 units down. And Elliot, I'll tell you what, I had some big regrets early in that race. I was like, man, I thought about also laddering this up to top 10, but I tried to take some top 10 shots with some other drivers that just weren't even close, like the the Daniel Suarez of the world, the Todd G's of the world. And I was regretting that, but Shane Van Gisbergen, you had a bad beat on that one. Finishes P11 after just a really great day from this guy, man. I mean, stage points, finished top 6 in the first stage and then 8th in stage 2 as well. So you can't say enough good things about SVG and really some of the cars who were really strong, really strong on the day and continue to be strong. The Austin Cindrix looking really nice. Ty Gibbs, this was a week I was like, hey, I'm going to take my foot off the gas on Ty Gibbs. I'm going to fade him a little bit. Didn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of the opposite on Ty Gibbs. The other Kalshi bet that I added over the weekend was a Ty Gibbs outright at about 15-1, and he looked pretty good. Overall, for me, like I said, glad to be on a heater. This is 4 positive weeks in a row for me now, which I don't think has ever happened to me. So definitely making some strides. And this feels kind of silly to say because it was such a chalky race. But I feel like in terms of the bets, even that I had that lost, I don't think I've ever handicapped a race quite as good as this one. My other outright bets, Ty Gibbs and Byron, like I said, they both end up finishing pretty high up in the running order. Ty was running top 5, and Byron led laps early on before Hamlin kind of punted him out of the way. I had the SVG top 10, like you said, runs top 10 all day, ends up 11th. He was on the same strategy as Chase Elliott, just not as good of a car, not quite up front. Positional props on Hamlin for the top 3. I had a Blaney top 5 that would have hit if Hamlin hadn't put him in the wall in the last restart.
I knew that was going to happen. I was because I told you that Ryan Blaney occasionally will finish P6 here in the spring. It happened to me a couple years ago and I lost a ton of money on it. So that was like my only hesitation. And of course, like you just get one of the worst beats of all time, it felt like.
Yeah, but I've gotten plenty of good beats this year, so I can't be too mad about a couple going a little haywire. Like I said, Hendrick Ladder worked pretty well for me. Todd Gilliland, I don't know what was up with him, but I mean, we were both on him and both totally whiffed. They just had no speed. And that's one of the advantages, though, of waiting till after P and Q, because he was one of the guys that failed inspection, lost pit stall selection, lost their car chief. That definitely did not help his day. And maybe if we had waited, we probably wouldn't have bet, especially after, I don't think he qualified well either. A top 10 was really never in the cards for Gilliland once they unloaded.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it from the start. And I was thinking about going that top 20 route over on Kalshi as well, but I was like, look, Todd Gilliland's run so bad all season. Like, to make money on this top 20, like I need to put multiple units down, and I just didn't feel comfortable with it. So that was like the half unit flyer on the top 10 instead. And then I was staring down the pike Sunday morning. I'm like, oh, geez. Do I do a top 20 Zane Smith bet? He qualified P14, looked good on Saturday, and I almost got invested with it. And thank God I didn't, because I don't know what happened to him, but he eventually had to, peel off, go back down pit road. He was having some issues. He did end up finishing that race, but he was, several laps down. So for me, like Elliot, like maybe occasionally I'll throw out a Zane Smith bet and just like, because he's the only one that seems to have speed in that garage. But like, aside from that, and you got to hope the equipment doesn't shit the bed like it did on Sunday. Like, again, that was the first FRM investment I think either of us have had all season. I think we leave it there, besides maybe get a little frisky with ZS sometimes.
Yeah, I think the only other front row bet I've had this year was the Zane Smith top Ford that I was able to miss the Daytona and hit at Atlanta. But yeah, Zane's really the only viable bet there, and I feel like now we know that. So proceed with caution on all the front row guys. We got Philly checking in the nice Pablo Sanchez profile picture there.
Like
Philly
that.
3494 had the Priest top 10, just watching him drive around in 12th all day while the booth talked about how good his car was. That was fun. Another decent week for RFK, and yeah, Priest just barely misses out on the top 10, doesn't beat Logano, who had a great day, but was able to hit that group bet, like I said, and just showing RFK's climb kind of continuing.
Yeah, he did have a top 10 car earlier in that race. It felt like, man, he was someone like, as our guy Phil is saying here, they kept saying, oh, it looks like he's got a rocket right off the start. And he did. He started, P16, P17, somewhere back in there, and continued to make his way up the racetrack and up through the leaderboard there. Got around 8th, 7th, and kind of stalled. And then his pit crew is kind of off a little bit. He would lose some spots on pit road, start to battle him back, but never really got back in that top 10 conversation. Just kind of then floated around like 11th to 13th, where Bad Brad was coming for him. I had that matchup against him that I got down on Sunday, so I was like, oh man, this is going to be a heater, and it was a sweat till the end. So Phil, I feel you on that one. I also was a little bit too heavily invested, both from a betting and a fantasy standpoint, on Priest last week.
Yeah, plenty of storylines coming out of the Cup race. We didn't even really touch on Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar.
Bubba Wallace is a freaking idiot, dude. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we can have a more extended discussion, but yeah, he just kind of got frustrated. Hocevar kind of moved him around. Bubba drives into the corner, takes him out, just about takes Hocevar out, and just one of those things you can't have. Bubba dropped from I think 3rd in the points to 11th or something like that. Can't have those kind of bad points days when your day's looking not too bad.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Like, I just like those are the mistakes that every year, like, say, okay, Bubba's better than that, right? Like he does it every year where he gets, whether it's Chicago a couple years ago with Bowman, or I can't remember who he's beefing with. Like, it might have been Bowman again somewhere last year.
He's had a couple of beefs with Bowman. Bubba's the kind of guy who he'll beef with anybody and everybody when he gets upset. It's less frequent now, but it shows the passion and the fire he's got behind the wheel. But dude, it's like you have speed. He was probably wanting to run top 5, was running,
15th
or something like that. That's a day that's not too bad. I know Hocevar is Hocevar, but take the 12th place and move on another day.
Yeah, and everyone wants to give Hocevar a bad rap, but like if Hocevar made that move, the world would have burned down. Like legitimately, this guy would have been getting death threats at his local Chili's, and people trying to take out his Dale Earnhardt truck. Like it's unreal, man. Yeah, and so that's like the stuff where like I need to see Bubba just be content sometimes with a P15. I get you weren't running good, specifically with how good you looked on Saturday, kind of the track history you have there. But hey, dude, like points are points, especially in this format. You can't be doing stuff like that. So I think it'll be a real decision point here in the next couple of weeks for Bubba Wallace, Elliot. Like, where does his season go? It can either go fine and he can keep himself in the conversation, or if he has another bad week or two, these hot and cold streaks with Bubba, they're very frequent. So I'm very curious. I'm not probably going to be betting him when we get back from the break. I'm going to give it a week, but after that, like, it will be a real turning point. Do you get on the Bubba betting train, or are you kind of fading him for the next few weeks?
Yeah, we know 2311 has speed, but if Bubba isn't able to keep up with Reddick, he could very well be on that points bubble really quickly, already falling down, like I said, from 3rd to around 11th. Not so great. A couple comments before we talk about the O'Reilly race. Priest is still my guy. Yeah, you got to stick with your guy. My guy hasn't even raced in a month. He's still my guy. It's all right. Bob mentioning this was Priest's best track. Looked mediocre at best. Very disturbing. Yeah, it just shows RFK is still not perfect. And I'm honestly surprised, Bob. He did correct his spelling there for Priest. I'm surprised that Priest doesn't autocorrect to Grease for me more often, because it is just the one letter off.
Yeah.
It's definitely very, very reasonable there. Also wanted to shout out Jamie checking in. Vroom, vroom. That is what the cars do at Martinsville.
What's up, Jamie?
Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, good weekend for a lot of guys. Bad weekend for some other guys. In the O'Reilly series, probably the only other bet that was a total whiff for me was Taylor Gray. I thought he was sensational, and it just never really happened for him. Made that 5-1 outright I had look pretty silly. Then you talk about some bad beats. I mean, we'll have the Lee Pulliam conversation once we get through the bets and talk about Justin Allgaier winning yet another O'Reilly series race. Big shocker there. Kvapil top 5 looked like a slam dunk until getting caught up late. And Jesse Love over Ross Chastain, my matchups contest bet, looked great for the whole race as well. He and Raja Karuth get together, and the 91 comes back from spinning out to beat him there. So didn't work out for me. Gives Chris probably has a bigger lead the matchups contest. I don't know for sure. But the O'Reilly race, you had a little bit more of that Martinsville chaos, which certainly doesn't surprise me, but didn't devolve into a total shit show like it has in the past. So I'm proud of the guys for that.
No, I absolutely didn't. And I will say, like talk about handicapping a race pretty good. Like, these were kind of the drivers I was expecting to be towards the front. In Gator, Sammy Smith, like I hit top 5s on both those guys. 3 units on Gator, about a half unit, 3/4 of a unit flyer on Sammy Smith there at some pretty good plus money value. And Corey Day was another guy I was looking to get invested with. If we had top 10 markets, that was going to be a smash. I saw him in a match against Lee Pulliam, and I'm like, I don't really want to fade Pulliam, but like I want to take a matchup on Corey Day because he's just looked so good lately. He's been on a heater. Sheldon Creed, another guy, really, really great Martinsville pedigree. I saw him in some matchups head-to-head with Sammy Smith. I'm like, I want to get invested with Smith, but I'm not fading Creed to do it. So I felt like that one was a pretty straightforward race, besides some of that late race shenanigans that you got from, the Rajas and, of course, the Carson Kvapils of the world. So that stunk. But overall, it was a really cool race, and maybe one of the best stories of the season that we'll see, Elliot.
Yeah, and it certainly was a great story. Lee Pulliam finally getting a shot in the O'Reilly series in a JRM car. Big late model guy, multi-time track champion, and was at a point where he was leading the race pretty late on. And if that race stays caution-free at the end there, that 9 car very well could win the race, but ends up having to deal with a couple of restarts. And when you get guys in cars that they don't drive very often, you're liable to make mistakes. Lee Pulliam misses his shift very badly on the front row, destroys Kvapil right behind him.
Yeah.
He destroys about 15 more guys behind him. Just one of those restart stack-ups that it puts a little bit of a stain on what was otherwise a great day, great story. Pulliam still ends up top 5, very deserving of the chance, and hopefully he gets more opportunities. Just it kind of sucks that you have that little bit of stain where it's like, oh, also he destroyed a third of the field because he missed a shift in the last 20 laps.
Yeah, he had a really good conversation with Dale about it. And, his daughter asking him on Monday when he was going in for the driver's meeting, like, hey, are you going to get in trouble for what happened there late in the race? He's like, hey, I'm going to be critiqued, but, like, that's part of life, right? Like, we all need to learn and we all need to grow. Like, this is a guy who never stepped foot in an O'Reilly Series car before this past weekend, right? And did a ton of work to get here, lost a bunch of weight, they were saying on the broadcast as well. And it's a great story. And this is why like Junior Motorsports and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in particular are so great for this sport, because it leads to situations here like Lee Pulliam where you go out and have a heater of a run at a place as special to you as Martinsville. And is he the next Josh Berry? I mean, that's a conversation. I guess we, throw it on the thumbnail. Is he the next Josh Berry? But just seems like a really humble guy. And I'll tell you what, Elliot, he had a lot of racecraft that he showed throughout the race, specifically after being up there early, having some issues down pit road, having to go back down pit road, and then ultimately making his way back through the field, playing the strategy card right as well. So they got something really, really special cooking at JRM right now. Like, this is a potential dynasty in the O'Reilly Series like we may have never seen in the modern era. And Lee Pulliam definitely making his case to be part of that conversation and at that table.
Yeah, they're still in great shape for sure. And again, hopefully he's able to get a couple of more races this year. Josh Berry's kind of I feel like that might be a kind of once in a lifetime kind of deal, but you see these guys get chances. I mean, Bubba Pollard getting a couple of races now, Lee Pulliam. It's great for Dale Jr. to be able to give these opportunities to guys to be able to show what they're made of, because overall, like I said, it stinks that the missed shift happened, because otherwise the conversation is this guy had a really, really great race in that equipment. And you don't have to put that, oh, well, but he did this on the end of it. Either way, still a good story, good race, and a really interesting battle that we've got setting up here. We'll take a quick look at the standings. We don't have to devolve into breaking down every single driver here, but just kind of wanted to put out there where everybody is right now. In the O'Reilly Series, you got the top tier drivers. All these guys I'm about to mention, probably locks for the chase just about already, unless they run into disaster. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any disagreements there. Allgaier's 229 above the cut line, safe to say. He'll be fighting for the championship at Homestead already, probably regardless of what happens. Jesse Love's 137 above the cut. Sheldon Creed 113. Austin Hill 107. Again, title favorites across the board there. Kvapil plus 90, having raced in 3 different cars. Sammy Smith plus 87. Corey Day plus 81. All those guys, that's about half of what you're going to get in the chase field. They all are having really good years and are all guys that are going to be in that sort of championship, the top 5 in the points mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen the maturity of some of these drivers happen, right? Like Sheldon Creed, talk about a guy who's just had a big season, gets that first career win, and just is running consistently now. He's kind of got that monkey off his shoulder as well. So that's been great to see. And then Sammy Smith, a guy continue to bet every weekend. Really, really impressive. Very consistent right now. Carson Kvapil, kind of getting some bad beats at the end of races, but still being consistent. I don't trust Austin Hill still as far as I can throw him, but we know he'll be in the conversation a lot of weeks, specifically when we go to road courses, super speedways, and even on some of those short tracks as well.
Yeah, still able to run consistently enough and have good enough equipment to be up that high in the points. Title fight, yeah, I understand if it's a little bit off. Some of the other guys above the cut line, Brandon Jones plus 54. Parker Retzloff having a great start to the year in that Viking 99. 51 points above the cut. That's a really good start to the year for him. Raja Karuth is 31 above the cut. Sam Mayer plus 28. And that's even after some really bad luck to start his year. Taylor Gray's the cut line right now at plus 20. All those guys, again, some good cushions to have, especially for your Jones and Retzloff of the world. And these are all guys that are in position to fight for that chase cut line. And like I said, some good starts, some not so good starts, but that's kind of where we sit in terms of who's above the cut as of right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Elliot, honestly, seeing how this is shaking out, just because you do have some pretty interesting situations going. You have Corey Day, who started the year a little bit in the doghouse right over there at HMS and has slowly become one of the most consistent drivers in the series. Parker Retzloff, who continues to punch above his weight class, both physically, figuratively and figuratively and literally as well. And then Rajah Caruth going in and out of that JRM car and going down to some lesser equipment once in a while. Yeah, you have of course Sam Mayer, who's in this new equipment as well with Haas, who was switching manufacturers. So really interesting to see that. I think the big shocker is like we have some guys well below the cut line. But before we get to that, Elliot, like, what do you need to see to bet Justin Allgaier for the championship? Because I thought about it before the season to rip a big gainer out on him. I did not get invested at that point. Like, what number would you have to see? Because it really feels like it's him or it's Jesse Love's championship to lose. But with how consistent Allgaier is going to be, specifically when we get to the fall where there's no Cup Series drivers out there with him, or at least not as many, I just worried, man, that like I don't know, man. Like, if there's a 2-1 out there, like, do we get invested at this point, or is it too early?
Man, it's just one of those that I haven't really seen a bettable number for it all year. I mean, I don't remember what he started out as, but it's
like plus 250, plus 275 is what we were seeing.
It's tough because obviously he's going to continue to be the dominant driver that he's been already. Multiple race wins this year, definitely the title favorite. But it's just, I mean, I feel it's just so tough to bet like a 2-1 for a title, especially this early on. And man, even maybe I just hate drinking the juice, man. I don't know. But even a 2-1 when you get toward the chase would still be a little short for me. But even if you're not making as much money, Allgaier already is the favorite. I'd kind of be really surprised if he doesn't win the title. So maybe whatever number's out there, I should get on before he wins 6 more races.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Himself at the top of the chase.
Yeah, apparently we should have been on his over-under for the win total. I think it was 3.5, so we look kind of dumb right now there as well. So, yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a ton of value back. Like, just kind of looking.
I guess the other tough part is, too, it's not like it was in the playoffs where he could win 7 races and have that much above the next guy. He's only going to reset, and I think it's a 25 or a 30-point lead between first and second. I'll have to refresh myself on those numbers. If you guys are bored, you can go back and watch one of our off-season episodes where we break down everything about the chase format. I already said the answer in there. I just don't have it in the memory banks just yet. But if he has a bad week or two to start off the chase, then maybe you kind of get a more bettable number. But I would say that's way more unlikely. It'd be way more likely he goes out, wins those first 2 races, is 100 points up into the 3rd race of the chase, and then your bettable numbers are totally out the window. If they
so the one thing I think we can consider here. So again, going to the prediction markets, he's plus 350 at Kalshi. I have to shop that around to see where he is everywhere else. And also, because you are leaving your cash like in idle for so long on Kalshi for these futures, they'll actually give you a good, like, they'll give you interest on your bet, right? So with the interest,
that's true.
With the interest coming back, 3.25% interest, you can turn 100 into 455. Like, I think it's time. I think it's like it's. I don't know. Like, if he goes out there and wins the Rock, I don't know if we're gonna give the chance again. So that's kind of my only thing, that maybe now is the time to get invested with a couple units for Gator, because it feels like the Cup Series is going to come down to 5 or 6 drivers. It feels like the Truck Series is going to come down to maybe 2 or 3. I don't know if anyone's going to catch him at this point.
Yeah, I just looked. Bet365 also has him at plus 350. In these prediction markets, I mean, it may be a good time for you to get in there, see how that interest plays out and stuff like that. Again, something that's brand new to all of us. I guess, the books aren't going to give you interest. If Kalshi gives you interest, that may be the best place to look. But yeah, Gator, yeah. I think I'm being too stingy, and I think you are right here. That number plus 350, as crazy as it might look for a title for a guy like Allgaier, now is probably the time to do it, because it very well could get lower.
Well, and even when the points reset, he's still going to get a bonus, and he's going to be above everyone, right? Like, whoever is in second or third, whether that's like Jesse Love, Sammy Smith, Austin Hill, one of these guys, they're going to have to run their butt off in the fall, I feel like, to stay at pace with him, especially with how those tracks play out, man. Like, I think that's going to be my homework. I'll come back next weekend and see. Am I on the show? Whenever I'm on the show next.
Find out if you are, I guess.
Yeah. I can't remember next week. I think I am on next week. But regardless, next time I'm on, I will come back and I will let you all know how many units I've placed. And of course, I'll update it there in my betting card folder over there on the IBT Racing family as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, Allgaier is the favorite for sure. None of the guys below the cut line probably have a prayer at the title. Bob mentioned Allgaier taking big steps forward, doing good in Cup. Yeah, better than Zilich, and I think the 48 finally got a lead lap finish this week, first of the year. Fingers crossed he's only got one more race in the Cup Series this year. That'd be great. No insult to Allgaier, but again, hoping Bowman's back. But anyway, Allgaier, good for him getting that extra experience as well. On the cut line, you have Anthony Alfredo at -20, another good start to the year for the other Viking team. William Sawalich 21 under. That's kind of unacceptable in a Gibbs car. So he's a guy to watch the rest of the year. Ryan Sieg -24, one of those guys that he will certainly hope he's in that chase when it comes to it. Brennan Poole for Alpha Prime -25. You have Jeb Burton is -42. A couple other notables. Brent Crews is 71 out of the chase right now. That's because he's missed a couple of races. He will race the rest of the year. Happy 18th birthday, pal. You get to run the rest of the season in that 19. Nick Sanchez, again, good driver. Not the best opportunity falling in his lap. AM Racing has withdrawn their car from this weekend's race at Rockingham. They said they'll be back, but probably take Sanchez out of a chase spot. Harrison Burton, not a good start to the year for Sam Hunt either. Made the chase last year with AM, or made the playoffs last year with AM, not in a great chase position, -83. And the one guy to talk about here is Brent Crews, 71 back. I don't really think that's going to be a problem. I think he will be able to leapfrog these guys and make the chase. That 19 car is damn good. I'm hoping you agree here.
Yeah, it's funny when you and I turned 18, Elliot, like we were just happy to be able to go down to the local Sheets and buy a pack of cigarettes and a scratcher for the first time, right? I mean, Brent Crews, he turns 18. He's just excited because now he can get back in this champion conversation, right? And I absolutely agree with you. Not only is he in elite equipment, but he's also an elite driver, specifically in the short track scene. So looking forward to seeing what he can do even this weekend, right? He's a guy I don't want to fade in matchups. We don't have a lot of data on him in these cars or even in the truck series, but what he's done at an ARCA level occasionally, and also, more notably, a short track level. I just don't want to be fading this guy by any means. And Harrison Burton, tough beat for him. He was having a great day, man. Some nice pit calls there on Saturday, and then just again, kind of I think he was one of those drivers who got caught up in that Pullman incident late. So tough beat for him, but there's still speed in that car. Expect Harrison Burton to occasionally, maybe cash some top fives. And if we ever get top 10 markets back, please. I mean, every week, Elliot, there's top 10 like bets I theorize and I think about. And what do we get for maybe 3 races this year in total? Just a bummer. A bummer.
Have we had him other than Daytona, Riley?
Yeah. There was one or two races, but it's been going on a month now since we've seen him.
Yeah, man, fingers crossed. Hey, for me, as long as they're on the road courses, I'm okay with it, but I would love to see them at the ovals too. The books certainly like Crews as a title favorite, potentially. Looking back at Bet365, Allgaier and Hill, joint best odds +350. Love is 5-1. Brent Crews is 6-1. So the books know how good this kid is. They know how good the 19 is, and that -71 really should be no problem. Moving to the truck series, I got Chandler Smith here in the graphic because he's the points leader in the truck series right now. Only a couple of races for them, so that standings board really still building itself out. The top contenders here, Chandler Smith's 89 above the cut. Caden Honeycutt, solid start to the year in that 11. He's +56. Lane Riggs, unanimous title favorite, essentially is 48 above the cut line. Gio Ruggiero +44, having a good year. Ty Majeski +38. It would surprise me if one of these guys is not the champion of the truck series. Probably Riggs. Gio's kind of running himself up there. Chandler Smith, good year as well. It's Riggs or the field here. I still am leaning Riggs, but these guys certainly are putting themselves in the conversation to make it tough on the 34.
We were talking to a guy who was a 4 or 5 unit play on Riggs to win the championship. And I remember, Elliot, you can quote me, looking back at our truck series preview episode, I said that when we get towards the chase, I would not be surprised if it's Riggs and then Gio Ruggiero and everyone else, right? Like that's kind of how I'm feeling about it at this point too. Like you just mentioned him. I thought he was going to be a big step up this season, and he's definitely doing it. And, guys, you were high on like Honeycutt. He's really proven me wrong. I didn't think he would have quite the run despite being in maybe arguably the best seat in the series. And old Chandy, keeps clicking him away. And Ty Majeski, like, not going to win a lot of races, right? Like he's not, that's kind of the Ty Majeski of it all, but he's certainly going to be in the conversation as well. So it would be really hard to think anyone outside of this crew right now could make it into the chase or make it into the championship 4 and make it into, well, I guess there's not a championship 4, but you know what I mean? Be contending at the end of the year.
They'll be the contenders for the title. I know Christian Eckes and Ben Rhodes would be pissed at me for saying that because they're both +36, having some solid years as well. Corey Heim is ineligible for the playoffs. He's not running all the races. They would not give him the waiver, even if he was able to get a full-time ride. But he's plus 31 right now, so that's throwing a wrench in there. Anytime you look at the truck standings and see Corey Heim in that playoff bubble, which I'm sure he will be for a couple more weeks as long as he's running truck races, he's ineligible. So the cut line moves a bit. Based on that, Andres Perez de Lara, plus 7 right now in the chase.
Good
Justin
young kid.
Haley, plus 6. Brendan Queed right now is minus 6, but would be in because of taking Heim out. The guys just outside. Ankrum right now, minus 7. Stuart Friesen, minus 7 as well. Daniel Hemric, minus 14. Jake Garcia, minus 15. They're guys who probably should be a little better in the standings. I mean, at least Ankrum, Friesen, Hemric, all guys that we're expecting to continue to fight the fight. And we get 5, 6, 7 more races in. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they're all above that cut line. And then you get to, Jake Garcia's minus 15, Tanner Gray's minus 15, Grant Enfinger's minus 18. That is Corey Heim and 16 other full-time drivers. 10 of them make the chase, and nobody outside of there really has got a shot. I'll break down some of those names after, but it's nice to see. Ram is right now going to have 2 guys in, Ankrum, Friesen, Hemric. Like I said, those guys I mentioned, they're going to want the Rock to be the start of making a run forward and not having a minus next to their names as soon as this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been interesting because it feels like right now the truck series is a young man's game all of a sudden, right? I mean, we think of Ben Rhodes as a champion in the sport and a veteran, but he's still a pretty young kid, right? Like at the end of the day,
Is he even 30 yet? I mean, geez.
No, I think he's about our age, if not exactly our age. And you just look at the top there, like Honeycutt, a bit unproven until the last 2 or 3 years. Lane Briggs, a guy who's had to work his way up. Same with Gio. There are a lot of question marks about Gio coming in this season. Ty Majeski, veteran, but young still at the same time. And yes, so you would like to see guys like Stuart Friesen, a guy who's been around the truck series for what feels like the better half of a half decade, and Tyler Ankrum step up and move forward here, but we're just not seeing it yet. However, it's a long season. Enfinger's a guy who usually starts off a little bit cold, and he kind of works his way into the championship conversation as the year goes on. So I expect him and Hemric and that consistency to eventually win out. But it's going to be a very interesting battle because you have guys like Brendan Queen who are hungry, who can go out there and get dubs. But I'm not really shocked how this is playing out. It's honestly playing out very similar to kind of how I think both you and I projected going into the season, minus a few things, right? Like I don't think any of us thought Hemric or Enfinger would maybe be where they are. But I also, if you and I could place a bet on them for 2 or not to make the playoffs, I'd still bet on for them to both make the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they're far behind, but even jumping those many trucks, not going to be impossible for them by any means. And like I said, it's basically those 16 that have a shot. If you want to know how the points are going below that, Frankie Muniz is 30 behind the cut line. And
wow.
All due respect to Frankie and Team Rearview, Frankie Muniz is not making the chase this year in the trucks. All right, so we've talked plenty ad nauseum about what's been going on. Phil mentioned, I wonder if it's Philadelphia, if it's Phil A. 3494. We want to call you by what you want to be called by, so you can let us know there. Taking Honeycutt, that truck is illegal. That 11 team's top notch. I don't blame you at all. Ankrum to upset this week, says Bob, which is exactly what he did last year on fuel mileage at the Rock. So not some bad picks there.
Yeah.
For your picks for either one of the races, best bets you've got, throw them in the comments here. We're looking forward to seeing them. And it's time to start looking ahead to the Rock and the Horizon forecast. Thankfully, not a great deal of trends or anything when you have run one race here in the last 20 years. So should be getting to the bets here pretty quickly. Entries for the week, 38 drivers for 38 spots, which means thankfully Cleetus McFarland's locked into the field. You won't have to worry about qualifying that number 33 car for RCR. Like I said, Nick Sanchez and AM Racing withdrew, which means the only Ford car entered in the race is the 5 of JJ Yaley, and Ford has no full-time drivers in the O'Reilly Series. That's a conversation to be had for a later day. Plenty of Chevrolets, a few Toyotas, and no Fords, really. Truck Series, 38 drivers for 36 spots. Corey Heim is in the 1 this week, not the 5, because the 5 is Adam Andretti coming back for another run. Sammy Smith is in the 7 for Spire. Corey LaJoie in the number 10 truck, not just this week, but for the balance of the year. Daniel Dye has been reinstated, but has been, voluntarily gave up his seat at Kaulig, is how they framed it. So LaJoie is in the 10. Another full-time ride for a guy who says he doesn't want to go truck racing. I mean, good for Corey. That means Ty Dillon is in the 25 this week. That was supposed to be LaJoy, but the 25 free agent rolling that they've got, it's Ty Dillon again, real exciting. 62 for Friesen is Michael Christopher Jr. He's a modified guy. Carson Hocevar, the only full-time Cup guy who's going to be around. He's in the 77 truck.
Hey, have some respect for Ty Dillon.
Oh, Ty Dillon, right, of course. Yeah. It was a late entry. It wasn't
competitive Cup Series guy, yeah.
Yeah, so Ty Dillon is so surprisingly still full-time Cup anyway. So both of those guys, the only Cup guys you'll see around, which makes the weekend really exciting. If you're in the mood for a little appetizer, the ARCA East race is going to be Saturday morning, and some neat entries there. You don't just have Cleetus McFarland also racing the number 30 as he's done, but you've got a gentleman by the name of George Siciliano, better known as Squirrel McNutt, is going to run the 0. He ran ARCA East at Hickory and is running it again this week. Max Reeves, whose father owns Cookout, back in the JGR 18. I don't know if you saw the interview from this kid, but he was kind of playing off of some Kyle Busch interview saying, hey, there's a reason I'm in this car and they're not. Yeah, it's because your dad owns Cookout. Go win some races.
Yeah.
An RCR development driver, Carson Brown, is going to race in the 28 for Pinnacle. He's a guy a lot of people are high on and probably one of the favorites for this race. And another neat story, Destiny Spurlock became the first black woman driver in NASCAR last week, ran P7 at Hickory. And that's not in one of these great cars. Again, all due respect to Carl Long in Garage 66, but she did that in the 66 car. So one of those neat stories to continue to watch. A few wild things going on in ARCA, which no wonder the books don't have odds up. It's the Wild West out there, the Wild East, ARCA East race. So Friday morning at 11 is your truck P&Q, O'Reilly P&Q 130, and the Blacks Tire 250 truck race. Green flag at 4:50 Friday afternoon. Stage lengths 45, 45, and 110. Unfortunately, they can't just wait till most of the public is off of work to go green, but certainly on the commute home, going to be watching this race. Saturday, 11:35 a.m. is the green flag for that ARCA East race on Flow. Then at 2:40 p.m., the green for the O'Reilly Series North Carolina Education Lottery 250, 60, 60, and 130. So Rockingham, it is their second year back. They ran a truck race here and a couple truck races here, 2012 and 13, as I'll talk about. O'Reilly back for the first time since 2004 last year. Track just a little under 1 mile, D-shaped oval. You're banking in turns 1 and 2 at 22 degrees, 3 and 4 at 25. The straights are at 8 degrees. Figuring out comps, one of those things that's not super duper easy because it's such a unique track. We don't have the Cup data here, but some of the ones we picked out, it's kind of it's not really a short flat. It's some decent banking in the corners. But looking at some of the short flats, maybe a New Hampshire, sort of kind of a Phoenix. Iowa was another one I thought about, maybe a Richmond. Gateway a little less so. So a couple of maybe sort of kindas here and a couple more that you have as well, but hard to really nail down an exact comp with Rock.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And this is why I think you have to kind of keep your exposure somewhat limited this week, right? Last year, this is actually one of my worst weekends of the year, Elliot. I kind of got boned because of how weird some of these races turned out. You had the fuel mileage in the trucks there on Friday, and then Saturday got even wonkier potentially as well. So I comped this to, again, a secondary comp, not a primary comp, Dover, just because of how Dover is with kind of the shape of it, banking similar a little bit as well. And then Darlington, but the surface is not going to be worn like it is at Darlington. You're going to see some tire wear fall off, but not as much as you would Darlington. But it's a very similar package to what they've already ran so far this season. So if you're looking for a 2026 comp, Darlington would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I think Darlington's probably the best bet in terms of the 26 comp, like you said, especially because that was the most recent race the trucks ran. So then you get to loop in that what have you done for me lately. Phoenix, they've already run this year too. I believe both series have. I know Cup was there. But yeah, just kind of hard to nail down a comp and kind of hard to nail down trends too, just because we've only been back here 1 year. Last year, looking at the winners of those races, Tyler Ankrum won the truck race on fuel mileage. That was his first win in 4 or 5 years. And Sammy Smith was declared the winner on paper. Jesse Love failed inspection, so Sammy Smith ends up getting the win there. Looking at last year's O'Reilly race, went to overtime. You had 14 cautions in that race, which was more than I remember for sure. 17 lean changes. The leader of the most laps was Ryan Sieg. He led 77. Yep. And some other really good underdog runs. Parker Retzlaff both started and finished in second place. Harrison Burton for AM last year was P3. Brennan Poole was P4. You can talk about this in trucks as well. but especially for this O'Reilly race, not having any of those Cup guys in, it's one of those where the series regulars obviously are going to look good, and one of those where those underdog runs and maybe a first-time winner looks really, really attractive this week.
Yeah, you just have less of a notebook, right? And we saw that last season with some teams like Parker Retzlaff just hitting it. And I mean, make no mistake, he was a top 10 car all day last season at this track, right? And you did have some shenanigans going on in that race, so a lot of cautions, a lot of wrecks, but he's someone who kind of nailed it all day long. Ryan Sieg was a guy who had some great speed, who looked like he might run away with this at one point, actually did not get the finish he deserved. So it is kind of still like this almost feels to me, Elliot, like the first going to a track like Rockingham, and based on what we saw a year ago, kind of reminds me almost in a way of like the first or second year of the next gen car, right? It's going to be a bit wonky. If you want to take a couple long shots in placement props or in the outright markets, like go for it. I still think the cream of the crop will rise now with another year under their belt to kind of get to know this place a little bit better. But yeah, still expect, if we see a Parker Retzlaff top 5, top 10, I wouldn't be surprised about it. Those are the type of drivers who are certainly in play here. William Sawallish guy we were talking about earlier, I think he's in play here for a top 10, but we can't bet top 10. So,
Yeah, what a shame, man. That's my impression of the books is please give us O'Reilly top 10s. We'll bet them all the time. Last year's truck race, 5 cautions, 11 lead changes. Corey Heim led the most laps. Big shocker there. Led 52. The trucks raced here again, like I said, in 2012 and 2013. Casey Kane and Kyle Larson won those races. Entered in those races, I know that is, 13 and 14 years ago.
Yeah.
But entered in those races that are still around this weekend, Ty Dillon, Jeb Burton, Ryan Sieg, and Grant Enfinger.
Wow.
And you look back at last year's ARCA race, they did the same format in ARCA East race here. Brent Crews won that race, and that race also featured William Sawallish, Patrick Starpoli, LeVar Scott, Austin Green, and Andrew Patterson. They are all entered in this year's O'Reilly race. I know track time last year is certainly a lot more important than 12 or 13 years ago, but otherwise, how much do you think that extra track time is going to help those guys? I know they're not all in the best equipment, but like I said, it's a big time week for underdogs too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll help Brent Crews and Sawallish, but I gotta say, man, Starpoli, LeVar's, like, they are ass. Like, Starpoli is like, he just like kept getting like the luck of the draw last week with pit stops, man, where he would pit at the exact right time right before the caution, and then he would somehow end up in the top 10, and then he's just an anchor and goes the whole way back, and he gets squirrely. People put him 3 wide. He's like, Starpoli might be one of the worst drivers we ever had in that 48 car, to my knowledge. And LeVar Scott, like every single week, this guy's just like taking shots left and right. Like he's in a warpath out there. So, I mean, maybe it helps your boy Austin Green. Maybe it helps BC and Sawallish. But as far as Starpoli and LeVar Scott, if there's ever an opportunity to fade, like, I'll fade them -200, -250 in a head-to-head. Like, don't think I won't after how I've been seeing them race so far this season.
Yeah, and it's tough because they're guys who aren't super duper seasoned behind the wheel. LeVar Scott just kind of coming in to the top levels of racing here. Starpoli, of course, taking his eye doctor money and buying that 48 ride. And Martinsville was a place he was kind of good last year, but yeah, just became kind of a battering ram.
Screw him. He makes money off people like me who can't see. That ain't cool. That ain't cool, Pat.
Yeah. Austin Green was looking toward maybe a top 10 run before getting caught up in that Lee Pulliam incident. He was one of the guys who kind of got flamed this week because he said right after the race in the care center, man, if we got guys who can't shift in O'Reilly, what are you doing here? And it's like, you kind of understand that because he just got dumped. I know he got flamed a little bit because Dale Jr. was biased toward Lee Pulliam and is like, man, you shouldn't be saying that. But then also Dale says, yeah, if I had just been in that situation, I would have said the same damn thing.
Yeah. It's a tough situation. I will say, though, like Austin Green, another example, when we go to these short tracks where there's a lot of braking, road course ringers, these are the drivers you need to be betting for your long shot top 10s, top 5s. Find them in head-to-head matchups. We did it last week, the SVG top 20. You still had the ride of your life on a 5-1 top 10 on them as well. Like that is the situation. And it's the same thing with Austin Green. If there's a top 10 market still available for O'Reilly series, I think Austin Green was a guy who would have been on my betting card last week, potentially on yours as well, because you can't help always having a little bit of a green thumb over there.
Yeah, green thumb for sure. Maybe we can start to influence these Kalshi markets a little bit. Get those top 10s up every week for O'Reilly and maybe even trucks too. We got to look into this a little more. We'll see how it works.
I thought you were going to say we could start a green thumb t-shirt and like see if we can get Austin Green's permission, like maybe be the green heads or the green thumbs. There we go.
I mean, you know me, I'm a sicko for the most random racing t-shirts. We're repping the
Is that Tony Prediger?
Tony Prediger trucks because it's a truck weekend. I'm a
Where do
sicko
you
for
buy
random
something
racing
like
shirts.
that? TonyRedinger.com?
I think this was on her website last year, but I've got plenty of Junior, plenty of Bowman, Michael McDowell, SVG.
Oh yeah, those are normal people
I've
to have.
got plenty of random shirts in here. Peterson Racing, pay a designer, make an Austin Green shirt, and you'll see it on this show a week after you release it. But if not, maybe we'll have to throw out our first IBT t-shirt, get it endorsed at Pocono or something like that. All right, before we get to the bets here, I know a couple of things that we won't have in the show because of Cup, but I do want to shout out iFantasyRace.com.
Yep.
Every single Cup race we give the iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark driver of the week, because what you see on the stat sheet doesn't always translate to how you race. The asterisk mark report shows a guy who ran better than his finish was at the most recent race at that track.
Yep, they've been doing a great job. Like I feel like Ryan's been doing this for more than a decade, I think. So like he's just getting sharper every single season. Still has great racing information on the site this week for those O'Reilly and Truck Series bettors. So make sure you're checking out iFantasyRace.com. All the loop data you need, pretty much everything you need from a gambling perspective is put out over there. And it's always a great read. Like sometimes if I get busy and don't get to catch all of practice on Saturday, he has the practice notes, which are really, really valuable for your Sunday betting cards, as well as the practice total speed rankings and speed rankings as well. So just really good work they're doing over there at iFantasyRace.com, as well as our friends over at WannaParlay, Elliot, which are continuing to support us over here by being a great way to create fun and exciting competition that really just connects people. And that's why we play fantasy sports. That's why we sports bet. And WannaParlay really embodies the joy of winning, the heartbreak of almost winning. Shout out Lee Polium and all the other emotions that you'll experience during competition. It's from the brains of two former Kansas State college football players. Go Wildcats, baby. And it's all about stacking legs, competing with real sport lovers like yourself, and getting real cash wins every single day. You can 1,000x times your money and cash out fast. Are you ready to get in on the game and flex those parlay legs? Well, go and download the iOS or Android app today and get a 100% match bonus when you use the code IBT at sign up. Again, that's code IBT to get a 100% match bonus at WannaParlay. Link is in the episode description. I love everything they're putting out every single week over there at WannaParlay. Love their college football offerings as well. It's a great place to get invested if you don't have legalized sports betting in your state, and maybe WannaParlay is available. So make sure you check it out right now. Go to WannaParlay on the App Store, and you won't be disappointed.
Shout out to everything they're doing, and shout out to them for being a partner of the show. Couple comments before we get to the bets here. Big 76ers guy. So it is Phila is in Philadelphia. I appreciate it, my man. And then Bob Starpoli, quite interesting. A little host of Irish. Do I have a Starpoli shirt? I don't, but on NASCAR 25, he's in the ARCA series. Usually I'll use his ARCA car in the online races.
Ew, that's gross.
A little, the ARCA,
I use
nobody there.
I use Jade's ARCA car because I'm cool.
Hey, that's not too bad, honestly. It's a lot of fun over there. Of course, I'm repping Bowman, Austin Green, and if you ever see Norm Benning in a truck race too, there's my mains on NASCAR 25 and the online races. Might be my evening plans, but my evening plans before that, we got to throw out some best bets for this Rockingham weekend. Time to put her in park for the parking garage props. I don't know that I have anything more to say about the impressions other than that, man, I wish they gave us some top 10s. But it's nice that the books were able to have some, I don't want to say extended odds, but at least we got all our normal offerings on most of the books that we'd have for O'Reilly and Truck in time to do this show, which sometimes is a hard ask, surprisingly.
Yeah, they didn't lollygag around it, which I appreciate. Like I was expecting maybe not have as many offerings as we did. I will say, like, in addition to seeing the top 10s disappear, Elliot, you don't see many specials anymore for some of these races. Like you're not seeing, sometimes you can still get the even odd car number.
Caesars, but nowhere else.
Yeah, sometimes you can still get a car number range to bet on, but I'm not seeing like top manufacturers most weeks anymore. I'm not seeing like you can even bet manufacturers most races anyways. I mean, probably because there's no Fords, that kind of zapped a lot of the value out of these markets, right? But
AJ Yaley top Ford, I'll take it this week.
yeah, right, yeah. So it is disappointing, and like we want to see these markets continue to grow. So if anyone out there listening is connected to a sports book, connected to a pick'em platform, or just a sport themselves, like we want more opportunities to get invested with these drivers, get invested with these series.
and even just the top 10s. I understand not putting together all the same specials markets as a Cup weekend, but I mean,
Just
top
10s.
10s.
Yeah.
Top
Yeah.
10s
One
with
was
O'Reilly. I understand not doing it for trucks either, because like I said, you have 16 guys that have a chance at making the top 10 in the standings or whatever over there. I get it. But O'Reilly, there's enough variance now that we'll give you our money, and if not, we'll try to influence the prediction markets. See if we
that's the thing, because I even saw the cool thing about prediction markets, at least Kalshi, is they'll tell you how much has been wagered on each race. There was at least like 50 grand almost already wagered on this O'Reilly series race. Like
I
real
I saw even
there.
more. I thought I saw somewhere like 180,000 or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was
think
looking.
it was this afternoon. I don't know when you were able to look, but
Yeah, it was also this app. Maybe I was looking at, I might have been looking at championship odds. I'm not sure. I was looking somewhere at something, but I saw 50,000. But regardless, it's great to see that. And like, yeah, let's absolutely bully them. Like we used to have a deal with Kalshi back in the day before they even got into sports. So maybe I can hit up that old content. Like, hey, get it. You don't want to advertise the show anymore, but hey, you could at least throw out a little top 10 action for the boys for some O'Reilly series and truck series bets. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing about these prediction markets. Like I talked about last week, I was able to get it to where it looks kind of like I'm betting on a sports book in terms of the odds and things like that. So making those kind of calculations of this is the odds and this is the sports book thing, I'm just looking at it like it's a sports book. I was able to pull it up here. You got charts on volume and odds and stuff like that of the top guys. It says just over 175 grand volume.
Wow.
The O'Reilly race. And some of the top odds up here. Allgaier looks like your favorite at about 4-1, which is better than the books. And that's where my first outright is with Carson Kvapil. Plus 1240 is around the number that I was able to get it at on Kalshi. I do have a bit of the unit share as well at a 10-1 on the score, just because I'm still earning the prediction markets. I don't want to throw my full unit share in here and then have some fuckery happen and not get all my money. But anyway,
we've been cashing gainers. We've been getting money. Don't be throwing out bad juju.
I'm not saying it's that. It's me. I'm being skeptical, but I do have more of my unit share for this bet in Kalshi. So if that tells you anything, that tells you I'm not totally off of these as well. Like I was talking about, this weekend really has a big time feel of that series regular winner, obviously, and that first time winner. And Carson Kvapil, he's my guy now for how he's run the last couple of weeks to be that next guy to win his first race. I talked about it some last week too, just how strong Kvapil has been this year, especially when he's in this one car. Rodney Childers obviously still has some gas in the tank. He knows how to set up these O'Reilly cars. He's that guy that really just is giving the extra edge to that one team. Obviously, Kvapil's had good runs in the 9, really strong at Coda in the 91, and has a few more races over there. But when he's in this one car, he's starting to become a threat to win more often than not. And like I said last week, I had the placement prop on him. He would have been top 5 if not for running into the back end of Lee Pulliam when he missed the shift. It was a great weekend for the orangish one car last week, and it looks like a real tasty weekend. Arby's back on the car for that one. And this isn't just blind, too. Last year in this race, Kvapil led at 47 laps. It's still enough of a short track that it's kind of in his wheelhouse. JRM is on an absolute heater, and it's one of those weeks where the notebook's a little smaller. I'm taking a veteran crew chief like Rodney Childers in those kind of situations. I don't know if he was quite on the box for Scott Riggs yet, back when they were still racing Cup at the Rock 22 years ago or whenever it was. But either way, man, the Kvapil-Childers combo at a place like this, Carson Kvapil, the outright here, probably my most confident bet of the week.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I actually went back and watched last year's episode. It was a solo ep that I ran for this race, Elliot, and my big bet was Carson Kvapil outright 14. So, and I also have in a matchup against Casey Kane, which I think did come through eventually. But I mean, it's the same story as when I was betting him last week. Like he's been running really hot. He has a better crew chief now. It's a really good number that you got him on at, plus 1240. I did not see that anywhere else. That I was seeing closer to that 10-1 number, 11-1 that you were getting picked on.
There were a couple books. I swear I saw him as low as plus 650 for an outright. To boost that up to plus 1240 on the prediction market. Again, more my unit share there, and even 10-1 at the score. I feel good about.
Yeah. I mean, he's someone. And also watching back that show last year, I was like, oh, we did have top 10s here. But Carson,
books, man, come on, dude.
I know.
We're trying to give you our money, man.
I know. We said it too many times now. But yeah, I do like Carson Kvapil. I'm not going to get back invested with him this week. It just feels he's got a little bit of that Justin Allgaier effect of like 2024, where
good
runs
runs
are falling.
Snake bit. I totally get it.
Yep. Yep.
And it's probably one of those too where if something bad happens this week, I'm probably off him for a week or two, and then he goes and wins Bristol or something like that.
He's got to win sometime soon, right? Like that's the thing. So it's like if you want to take the shot on him, I honestly almost prefer an outright rather than like a head-to-head because he has to win. He's too good not to be winning.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is it's almost a win or bust mentality. This is the only Kvapil bet I have. I might have bet him in a group. Check the betting card in Discord; it's already up there. But in any case, it kind of feels win or bust for Kvapil. I think he wins one of the next 10 races. I like to think this week's his best shot out of the next 10 too.
Yeah. Specifically with us not going out to Dover now, I think this is definitely the one for sure. Wanted to check in on a couple comments here. Bob asking any thoughts on Cleetus McFarland here, Elliot. I think Cleetus is a fade. I think we both think that quite a bit. Andrew, he would take a little Frankie matchup over. I would take a little Frankie over Cleetus as well. Yeah.
The nice thing with Cleetus is we know he's in good equipment. That 33 is what the same, obviously probably not the same car because Casey Kane's car last year got beat up thanks to Catherine Legg and William Sawalich. But back in that 33 car, for me, I kind of look at it in the same way, and this is probably a big insult to Dale Jr., so apologies. It's not what I'm here to do. I look at it kind of the same way as Dale Jr.'s one-off O'Reilly races in the couple of years when he did them, when he was already far enough removed, in 2019, 2021.
But
in the fact that not in terms of running position, in the fact that the goal is to go out there and run all the laps and not tear the car up. Yeah. I haven't seen any sort of betting odds on him outside of the normal outright top 3, top 5. I haven't seen him in head-to-heads or groups, I don't believe. If you have, let me know. But for Cleetus, I mean, the equipment is good enough that if he, say like this time next year, say he gets these 2 or 3 races here, he's going to run ARCA, he's going to get more experience. It's just the more lap time and the more seat time. He's not anywhere close to being able to run up front. And I think that a top 20 is a really, really good day for him. A top 20, keep the car clean, run all the laps, and just have a good time. We know he's going to have a good time, but doing all of that is a really, really good day for Cleetus.
I wish there was just like a to finish the race market on him. I'd honestly probably bet
if there was a finished race, I'm betting no. Yeah. But
yeah.
That's the goal. And we know, he busted his ass in the truck series, but he did that in a way that a lot of drivers have over the years. And it's tough because those are the only laps we've seen him other than in ARCA this year. So we know it's just the more racecraft he learns. If he really wants to do this, we could sit here in a year or two. If he gets the racecraft, if he buys himself a full-time ride in this series, he could be a guy worth looking at. There's just not the seat time there. Yeah,
but it's a great story. Something that makes this race a lot more interesting. So I'm excited to see it. These names, the names like Frankie Muniz are part of, really what's making the sport, specifically in these minor series, really, really interesting right now.
Yeah, and hey, like I said, ARCA East, you got Cleetus McFarland versus Squirrel McNutt in there to pair with everybody else. So they're out there to have a good time, and that's what's most important to them right now. Mm-hmm. But guys who are just out there to have a good time don't really have a place on a betting card. Come talk to me next year because it's a 2-year deal for Cleetus, going to run a couple of races. Talk to me this time next year. We might have a different opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to kind of intermingle between O'Reilly and trucks because those are the series that are racing. My other outright is in the truck side, and it's on Corey Heim. Shocker, I know. I was able to boost this to plus 468 on BetMGM. I also have his top 3 at plus 135. And like I was saying when we were looking at the standings, he's not full-time. He's bouncing between a couple of these Tricon rides. He's still the dominant force in the truck series. Yeah. And if there was a scenario where he was able to get a full-time ride, even if it was switching back and forth, running all the races, and if he was able to get that waiver, again, it's not going to happen. But if he was full-time running for the title, even with the missed races, I'm still saying he's the title favorite. That's just how good he is right now. Mm-hmm. He's going to be in Cup next year, as long as 2311 are not morons who shoot themselves in the foot. He's going to be in Cup next year, and he's deserving. For now, he just gets to go around, bounce around, have fun. Doesn't have that title pressure on him, which means going out and doing shit like he did at Darlington a couple weeks ago. Hey, man, I'm going to take the fresh tires and I'm going to peel through the field and look like a badass passing Ross Chastain on the last lap to tame the lady in black. That's about as cool as it gets in NASCAR, and that's what he was able to pull off in the most recent truck race. Last year, like I said, led the most laps, 52. And the one truck this week arguably is the better part-time Tricon ride. He won in the 5. Now he's in the 1. I believe that's a better team setup, gets the higher priority guys. I don't know for sure. But you put him in the 1, put him in the 5, put him in 2/3 of the trucks in the field, and I still like Corey Heim to go out there and win a truck race.
I know this race came down to fuel last season. However, I think this is Corey Heim or Lane Riggs' race to win or to lose. Excuse me. I just think they're head and shoulders above the field specifically. And yeah, so I totally like this bet. Getting it, like I'm getting jealous of all the boost BetMGM's giving you right now, brother. Like holy cow, plus 468.
Before it was bonus bets. Now I'm getting boosts, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, so good on you for that because I really do like Corey Heim this week, and so much so that when I saw a top 5 minus 130 number from Bet365 sitting out here, I literally jumped down my chair this afternoon, just started woo! You know, fiance comes in the room. What's going? Woo!
Are you doing your best siren impersonation there, Seth? With the siren at the Dawsonville pool room.
Oh no, I don't even know who this person is, but
well, it's not a person. It's they blare a fire siren in Dawsonville, Georgia, and that's
yeah.
But they call it the siren because of the southern accent. But that's what it sounds like. So when Corey Heim wins, we're gonna clip that and we're gonna post that. So be ready for that.
But you know, Corey Heim top 5 here. You get 2 starts this season, 2 top 5s, a stage win. Stage points every single stage. Like this guy hasn't missed a beat, Elliot, and that includes a win at Darlington, that closest comp track that we talked about earlier as well. Led 28 laps in that race, started P5, put it all together, and he also won Darlington last year and led just under half the race. He did finish P8 here last year, and really like front row were the dominant trucks. You know, I should also probably throw out like Chandler could win here as well. I think it's FRM or I think it's Heim time. And tied for the 4th best in average running position in this race last year, had 40 fastest laps more compared to the next driver at 59. He spent 100% of laps inside the top 15, led the most laps in the race, 52 over a quarter of the race, and also had the best driver rating. Corey Heim is hungry. This guy is more motivated than ever and still in really, really elite equipment as well. And like why I was jumping for joy, Elliot, was because Bet365 has him at minus 130. Everywhere else, it's like minus 200, minus 185. But I'm getting a nice minus 130. That is a glass of juice I can drink. Feels like a lot about, you know, very similar to mimosas I might put down tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Bet365 and placement props that we talk about. You know, 32 of the 36 Cup weeks of the year, they have the best placement prop odds. And they were my favorite book of the year last year. And it's continued. My top 3 at plus 135 is from there too. And is spades better than most of the other books. So when you're looking at placement props, that's the place to look. If you haven't gone on the Bet365 train, or if it's not legal in your state, hopefully it is soon, and you should be betting Bet365 as soon as you can. You have the top 5 on the most dominant truck. You've got it on the most dominant O'Reilly car too. Again, Bet365.
Yeah, man. You know, my parents told me earlier in life, don't fix what isn't broke, right? We're going to have enough things to break in our house. You don't need to fix something that's not broke. So I'm going to go ahead and run it back. Same 2 O'Reilly series bets I had last week. I'm going back there. Justin Allgaier, top 5, minus 140 at Bet365. I'm 2 units down here. Gator's been top 5 in 5 of 7 races so far this season. Has an average finish of 1.75 on traditional ovals over the past month. That includes 3 wins as well. And this race last year at the Rock kind of got away from him. It was a bit weird of a race that I'm not going to weigh it super heavily in my handicapping. Honestly, for O'Reilly series, I feel like you just can't. But he was still fast off the truck, started 8th, was 8th by mid-race, had 17 fastest laps as well in that race. And most important to me, though, what did he do at Darlington a couple weeks ago? Well, he started P4. He finished there in both stages, also led 31 laps and beat Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson straight up in just as good of equipment. So for me, I'm just really, really happy to get a guy who has good measurables at Darlington in the last 2 seasons and also 4th at Dover last year. So yeah, I'm just really, really happy to get this minus 140 when I've also seen this closer to minus 185, minus 200. You know, there's always one book that will usually leave Gator or, you know, Heim, one of these heavy favorites out. And you have to take that opportunity there, pay a little juice, and let's just, you know, have a little juice drinking party.
Yeah, I completely agree here on Allgaier. And Allgaier, I mean, we've already talked ad nauseum about how good of a year he's having. He's the title favorite. You could just bet Allgaier top 5 every race the rest of the year.
Still turn profit.
Still probably turn a significant profit.
Yeah. And if someone's going to leave bet, like there's going to come a point probably where we're not going to be able to bet Justin Allgaier top 5s anymore. It's going to become like the Corey Heim top 5s from a couple years ago in the trucks here. So let's just continue to bet it while we can. We've done it two out of the last 3 weeks or 2 straight weeks, whatever it is. And I'm just going to continue to do it until they make him like minus 180 where I can't bet it anymore.
Man, but even if you get to like a minus 250 at like a Vegas for Allgaier, I'm probably still betting.
There might be interest at a track like that.
Yeah, I mean, not every week, but like that low of a number is still, it doesn't matter what the number is. Allgaier top 5 is going to make money more often than not this year for sure. And I'm looking at a guy who's going to race the rest of the year, who I think is going to rack up a lot of top 5s as well. Brent Crews plus 140 on Bet365. Again, thank you for the boosted up numbers here, because this is a number that's a lot lower on other books. I have this bet, and for Brent Crews, I also have him in a matchup over Sammy Smith at plus 110. And you look at Brent Crews, not a lot of track time, but in what he's been able to do, he's been really solid. You look at last week, ran 10th at Martinsville, pretty solid run. Phoenix, a compish track I was looking at, ran trucks there last fall, was having a really good day near the front, but then had an axle issue, took him out of that race. Here, last year, ARCA wins that race in the ARCA East Series. So the little bit of track time he's got here went pretty well. You look at how the 19 car, again, generally very good everywhere. Last year ran with Justin Bonsignor. I think he was having an okay day, crashed out, and then I believe was DQ'd. He was at the bottom of the list, even below Jesse Love in the running order. So wasn't a great day there for that team last year. But again, all due respect to Bonsignor. Brent Crews is a guy who's one of the title favorites, even missing a couple of races for a reason. The kid has shown in his limited experience that he is one of the next best stars in NASCAR. And I don't think it's going to be a Zilich type year where he goes and wins 10 races. But in terms of consistency, running up front, ripping off a couple of wins and being a title favorite or close to it come the end of the year, I'm liking Brent Crews for that a good bit. And it starts this week, top 5 run here at the Rock.
Yeah, Cruise Missile is someone I would have loved to got on my card specifically for a top 10. Like, I probably would have paid minus 140, minus 150 for it. Like, he's just that good. He's in great equipment as well. So I think it all comes together here for a top 5. What I don't like, though, Elliot, is your matchup against him, actually, because I like Sammy Smith for a top 5, plus 120 from our friends in Pittsburgh there at BetRivers for 0.5 of a unit. Top 5 in 4 of 7 races this season, P6 and a P9 in there as well. And besides that crash in Atlanta where he finished P30, this guy has been absolute rocks all season long. He has an 8.7 average finish, tied for the 4th best among full-time drivers. And in Route 2's win last year, win after the fact, kind of asterisk mark win, but still started P13, 6.5 mid-race, had a 6.6 average running position and 3rd best driver rating. So I think you're going to have to get a top 5 finish from Brent Crews here to beat Sammy Smith. And it might even need to be better than that. So P9 at Darlington the past 2 years, so at least respectable. Sammy Smith, though, is just one of those guys. He's kind of like the Alex Bowman of the O'Reilly series, Elliot, where like he's just really good at certain tracks, right? Martinsville, we knew he was going to be good at. We know he's going to be good here. So I've seen this go for as low as minus money. And the only place that I'm getting it plus 120 or better is BetRivers. A lot of books are having him right in that, even money or plus 110 range. So love getting a little extra 10 cents on the dollar from our friends out there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, BetRivers, really good number here. Sammy Smith, also, Bowman-esque, Busher-esque in that he'll go above and beyond to what the car gives him at times, at the very least run what the car gives him, and just kind of have those base hits, even if you don't get those home runs every week in terms of winning a boatload of races. But he's a kid that's really put a better head on his shoulders this year than he had last year. And there's just something about that number 8 this week in that kind of blue and green. I dig the color scheme. Maybe it reminds me when I was a kid and would be looking on the forums and see all those fantasy, what if Dale Jr. ran a Bud Light car? That's kind of what it looks like. So there's just something about it that scratches the itch, and I think it'll be fast here. And in terms of our top 5 bets, I really like all the 3 that we've thrown out so far. A little bit more of a long shot here that I'm going to go with. Parker Retzlaff for the top 5, plus 550 via the score. This was by far the best number I could find it at. And when you look at the Rock, it was this kid's best race last year. Like I said, started and finished in P2. Accomplished track Gateway last fall. He ran 8th in that 4 car. But you look at what he's doing this year for Viking, a team that's taking the extra investment from, I believe, RCR this year. Are they RCR? Are they Haas? Whoever they're affiliated with this year. Really, really strong this year. Every oval this year, Retzlaff has been 14th or better, including a couple of top 10 finishes. And you get that consistency, and it puts you in a spot where you are on the points, where he's 50 above the cut line, where he can have some, young kid messing something up weeks and still be in a good spot. But honestly, this team and this kid are going places. And I know he's moved up every year, Jordan Anderson to Alpha Prime to Viking. if this kid's not in a good car next year, I might have to riot, because he is putting up good numbers. He's got a good head on his shoulders too. The team is going places, but this kid for sure is going places.
Yeah, super consistent. Always a pleasure to talk to. I'm a big Parker Retzlaff fan, and the big thing to me, Elliot, this guy was top 10. I think he was P8 at Darlington a couple weeks ago, right? Like that's our number one comp coming into this race. So
P8 was arguably worse than he ran a lot of the day.
Yeah.
He was top 5.
Yeah, I looked at this plus 550. I shopped it around. Plus 550 is the best number out there for him. So if you are going to place it at the score. Again, I would love a top 10. And there is actually a matchup out there with Retzlaff against Ryan Sieg, but I don't want to fade Ryan Sieg at this track either. So I think this is the way to go. Don't make it a full unit bet, but do a little half unit, quarter unit flyer on Parker Retzlaff. It's something I still might add to my card. It was one I was, mulling over pretty heavily. So I like that play a lot, man.
Yeah, and hey, we don't have time for a full tinfoil hat conversation, silly season conversation, but let's just say, look at next year, RCR runs 2 cars full-time. Let's say Love goes to the Cup Series with Legacy. Let's say Kyle Busch pulls some crazy shit and they pull Austin Hill into the 8. 2 open seats. Wouldn't you love Parker Retzlaff and Austin Green running full-time for a team like RCR? Like those are 2 guys in particular, a lot of talent. You put them in good rides.
It won't happen, though.
No, it'd be too good to be true, but that'd be a lot of fun for sure. Retzlaff for a top 5 this week, good bet. One of those is probably a little bit of a reach most weeks, but not this week. All right, couple of matchups here to round us out here. First, I got to go Gio Ruggiero over Daniel Hemric. And both these matchups too, these feel like big-time misprices to me, like major misprices on Bet365, just because the data is not there to have both of these guys as such big underdogs against their other guys. So again, Ruggiero plus 145. Last year here, Hemric was P3, Gio was P10. So again, give the edge to Hemric there. But there's just not enough of a difference in terms of how they ran last year or this year for this high of a number. They've only run one traditional oval this year. And I know Hemric ran better than Gio, I believe. But either way, neither one of them were terrible. And you look at the comp-ish tracks for Gio last year, was 6th at Richmond, 4th at Loudon, and that's better than Daniel Hemric in both. So give me Gio here. It's been kind of a hot start for Gio, kind of a cold start for Hemric, but it's still too early in the year to really make some of those distinctions. But either way, plus 145 feels like a misprice here. So does plus 190 on the guy who won the race last year over Christian Eckes, Tyler Ankrum. And we know Ankrum had that early season heat last year, was able to run on fuel mileage and win this race. But for a guy in this situation here, a plus 190, they've run kind of okay this year. There hasn't really been a big advantage for Eckes. He ran pretty solid at Darlington. Ankrum not so much, but it's just too far of a split again. Christian Eckes, of course, in the O'Reilly Series last year with Colleague Racing, if he had ran super great last year, then I would probably give him the benefit of the doubt. He ran 23rd last year, so it's not like Eckes has some magical key to the rock. And you can't even make the argument of, one guy's team is better than the other. These guys are teammates with McAnally. And for Ankrum to be plus 190 over Eckes, I know Eckes has maybe more consistency, but it's just too early in the year to have both of these numbers as wide as they are. To me, they're misprices, and I'm taking the plus money on both of them.
Yeah, I saw both these earlier over on 365, and like the eye emoji is kind of what I felt when I first saw it, because and there are downsides to both of it. Like, first of all, if Daniel Hemric is going to show up at some point this season, this is the exact track. I mean, I also expect him to show up, a little bit better a couple weeks ago out in Darlington as well. It's one of his better tracks. However, this is somewhere last year he had a really, really nice run. Gio, though, as you mentioned, better on those comp tracks as of late. So I don't hate that bet at all for Gio. Tyler Ankrum's the tough one, because Christian Eckes, like, it's not that long ago, dude, that we were here in trucks and Christian Eckes was going off at 3-1, 3.5-1, 4-1 to win these races with Corey Heim as a full-time driver in the series at that point as well. So for me, looking at what Tyler Ankrum, and also like Ankrum's body of work this season sucks, dude. He's like a 19.7 or something average finish. Like it hasn't been good. Like,
and my thing is, I agree with you there, but they've run like 4 races. They've run one traditional oval this year, 2 super speedways. So there's just not enough there.
But plus 190 is a crazy for a head-to-head on the guy who won the race last year. Yeah. I do agree with that. And just like for the again, like you're talking about positive EV bets. These are positive EV bets. Sometimes they don't always get to the window, but there's no shame in placing them. And, I'm still going to be thinking about this Ankrum one for a little bit. I just hate to fade Christian Eckes, but at plus 190, for the guy. I just wish Ankrum would run a little bit better this season, right? That's what I guess we're missing. But beggars can't be choosers when you're getting nearly a 2-1 matchup on the back end. The guy won the race last year. It's hard to ignore.
Yeah, and with this bet too, when you stack like the hierarchy of opinions or hierarchy of needs or whatever here, it's not a fade. Like fading Eckes is at the bottom. It is I'm betting the number. I'm betting on the guy who won the race last year, and then it's fading Eckes is at the bottom. It's not an Eckes fade as much as it is. Why are you giving me a plus 190 this early in the year for teammate cars, and the guy who won the race last year is an underdog? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Couple questions here from Andrew to round us out, Elliot. Thoughts on Hocevar this week? Do you have any thoughts on old CH? Because for me, like, he was really good at Darlington a couple weeks ago in the Cup Series. It's hard because we don't really have a true, track record recently. I feel like on the truck in these types of races, he gets a little squirrely. So that, kind of reminds, I don't want to say he gets squirrely, but he gets aggressive. And sometimes that scares me in the truck series. So for me, like, it's a no, but I think like if you look at earlier, I said, I think this is Riggs or Heim's race to win. The reason I won't bet either of those guys on the outright is because there's a guy like Carson Hocevar out there who can be fast at any single race every single week.
Yeah. So one of the bets I didn't bring up tonight, Carson Hocevar top 5 minus 105 at Bet365. And I didn't have it here to talk about because I'm not super duper confident in it because it's been win or bust for him.
Yeah.
And at Echo Park, he pushes Kyle Busch to the win, doesn't really bother to care for a chance to win. Darlington running up front and cuts a tire down, probably running the tires too hard to stay ahead of Chastain, tries to wreck Chastain on his way out. So he's another guy that feels like kind of a checkers or wreckers, boom or bust kind of guy here. I like him anytime he's in the trucks, but there's just been too much volatility for me to really put a large amount of unit share on a large amount of confidence.
Yep. That is the thing, right? Like, if you could find him in a plus matchup where he's the underdog, that's great. I don't think you're gonna find that. Like, the juice you have to pay, like minus 105, that's not bad juice, right? So like, if you can find that or an even money for a top 5, that is fine. But it's like Elliot said, like, I'd rather someone bet him for the outright because of how he races a little bit, specifically when he's making these, I call them one-off starts, but like, he runs half the season at this point.
He's gonna run about half the races this year. So he's it would really surprise me if he doesn't win one or two of them.
Yeah, agreed.
Kind of got to see it before we really have confidence in it,
Thoughts on Majeski here as well. Used to be a short track favorite. He certainly did. Do you think that win equity is just dry enough that you don't want to get invested with Ty Majeski? It is a bit better of a value than some of these heavy favorites. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. I just think with Heim and Hocevar out there, Majeski outright doesn't really have a shot. Maybe a placement prop. I didn't look at him too strongly. It's Thor Sports, just kind of weird. Majeski, I just don't know. But you are right about the win equity at a short track like this is a little better. But it's just I kind of mentioned Richmond as a maybe comp, but then I didn't really pull many Richmond stats in the bets I did make. I can't rule them out, but I'm not confident enough in it to make a bet.
Yeah, I totally understand you. And that's like what I've kind of been struggling here with Ty. I mean, I was betting Ty Majeski numbers like a fiend to start out the year. And like, he really just didn't he hasn't been bad by any means. He's been absolutely solid, but he hasn't been like giving me those warm, fuzzy feelings for the most part. That I was feeling at the beginning of the year. Like he did get it done in St. Petersburg. He finished second there. We had a nice bet on him. We had a nice bet on him at Atlanta that fell through. But overall, like, I'm fine with Majeski. Like, the Darlington run though was, just not the best, but he got caught up in something, so it's hard to blame him. So overall, like, I'm fine with Ty Majeski, but I just don't like, if you want to bet him in a matchup, that would probably be where I would bet him, because I see him as a 4th to 6th place car or truck, right, Elliot? So it's like, where's the value in that? It doesn't feel like enough juice to get invested with that top 5 market. I don't see him winning this race. So it's just a no for me on Majeski, I think, until we get to a little bit brighter pastures ahead. Yeah,
I would agree. Matchup's probably the best play. I didn't see any matchup that was super great that I thought of, but if we do, we'll throw it in the IBT Racing family for you. Free to join the conversation and enter in a memorabilia giveaways. Have another one of those soon. $3.99 a month for the betting model that'll be back for the Cup races. The head-to-head matchups contest, which will be back for the Cup races as well, and our full weekly betting cards, which are always available because we are degenerate enough to bet on a week where there's no Cup racing, and the giveaway spots for that IBT Racing family as well will return with the Cup Series. I don't know that we have an updated graphic for the head-to-head, but I know I lost, and that's what I'm most worried about for the head-to-head contest.
I'm sneaking up on you. That's all you need to know, baby. I'm within one of you. I'm within in two of Chris. Chris, let us know. Did you hit another one? If Chris hit another one last week, I'm within 3 of him. But I might soon be on the left side of the board, and that's all we hope for around these parts, man. We're gonna continue to saddle up over there, and just appreciate everyone hanging out with us here, either on the IBT main YouTube channel after the fact, on the Backroad sub channel as well. We appreciate your support. Both of these places. It's the easiest way to support us is just giving these videos a thumbs up, also subscribing if you're new, and then head over to that IBT Racing family, man. It's been such a great time to chat with everyone. We were talking earlier today, just, hey, are there some values out there in the Cup Series futures market? Ty Gibson out there at 50-1, Ryan Blaney closer to 8-1 right now at some places, and there's like some daily boosts that DraftKings is throwing out with anything, plus 3-1 or better, you can throw a 30% boost on right now. So there are a lot of opportunities to get invested out there in the NASCAR motorsports betting markets, and we're talking about it all over there in the IoT Race family. So just come join the conversation. We love talking with you guys during the show. People like Andrew, people like Bob. I know Stan's usually hanging out here. Phila, Jamie, all you great folks out there. We really appreciate you. Go over there, though, in-betweenmedia.com/chat. We want to continue that conversation with you and just have more sharp bettors that we can chat with throughout the weekend.
No doubt about it, man. Looking forward to the weekend at Rockingham. Looking forward to talking Cup Series again next week. But for now, thanks for riding on down the back road with us. Best of luck with your bets. Happy Easter to everyone. We'll see you next time.